Hi, in this video we're going to talk about substitution, and we're also going to talk about one-step equations. So here I have an equation, and they gave me some information. And so what I'm going to do with that information is I'm going to substitute, similar to a formula for area. Okay, so I'm going to write 2 because there's nothing to replace. They already gave me a number. 2g. Now you have to remember when you have a number next to a variable, it means multiply. So I'm going to do 2 times whatever g is 3, plus my h is 5, then I'm going to do minus my f, which is 2. Now I'm going to do my order of operations, and if you remember, we talked about doing order of operations like a hopscotch. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division, whichever comes first, left to right, and then addition or subtraction, whichever comes first, left to right. So there are no parentheses, there are no exponents. Multiplication, here's multiplication here. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay? And bring down the rest of my problem. So 6 plus 5 minus 2. There's no division, so multiplication, division, whichever comes first. I took care of those. Addition and subtraction, whichever comes first. It so happens that addition comes before subtraction, so I'm going to do that first. So 6 plus 5 is 11, minus 2 is 9. All they're trying to do is see if you can substitute in properly, and if you know that 2g is a multiplication, and that you can do order of operations. They're testing two things: substituting into a formula and using order of operations. Let's move on. I have two one-step equations here. And let's go back in time. When you were little, they would have given you maybe a shape, or perhaps they did a picture of a teddy bear and they said the shape plus 2 equals 5. And they were really trying to see if you knew your addition and subtraction facts and how quickly you could do that. And so you had to know what number plus 2 gives me 5. And you would say 3. So you've really been doing one-step equations since you were like in first grade. And they did little pictures, teddy bears and different things like that. But you're older now, and you don't need those cutesy things anymore. So we're going to do the grown-up way and use a variable. We're going to do x. So x plus 4 equals 9. Well, this is something you could do in your head, but I'm going to show you the work to do with it, because later when we involve integers, it's going to get a little tricky. Okay, so in order to solve this riddle, I have to think backwards. I'm going to box my variable, and I'm going to get rid of what I call the annoying brother or sister. You know, when you're hanging out in your room and talking on your phone, and they're banging on the door, they want to hang out. Well, we need to get rid of them. So the way to get rid of a positive 4 or plus 4, it was a negative 4, because positive 4 and negative 4 equals 0. But we need to keep everything balanced, so what I do to one side of the equation, I must do on the other side of the equation, the other side of the equal sign. So positive 4 and negative 4 cancel. My x comes down, my equal sign comes down, and 9 minus 4 is 5. And I'm done. Okay, so in this problem, I'm going to box my variable, and to get rid of a negative 4 or a minus 4, what's the opposite? That's right, it's plus 4. What I do to one side of the equal sign, I must do to the other. My 4's cancel, my x comes down, and 9 plus 4 is 13. Let's move on. 4 times a number equals 8. What's the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by 4, and over here I'm going to divide by 4. My 4's cancel. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so 1x, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now I have x over 4. I have a fraction. And if you remember, the fraction bar is just division. And the opposite of dividing by 4 is multiplying by 4. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Now, a lot of times students see this, they see the 4 and they're 8, and they're like, oh, it must be 2. But 2 divided by 4 is not 8. My 4's cancel, and 8 times 4 is 32. So x equals 32. Very simple, and I'm sure a lot of these you can do in your head. Let's move to some more challenging ones. Negative 3 times x equals positive 9. My operation is multiplication. The opposite or inverse operation is division. So I'm going to divide by 3. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. I'm going to divide by negative 3. And so now I have x equals 9 divided by negative 3. Remember, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. Okay, moving over here, box my variable. To get rid of negative 6, I must make it positive 6 because negative 6 and positive 6 equals 0. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So, I borrowed 13 because it's negative. I borrowed $13 from you. The next day, I paid you back 6. Are we square? Nope. I still owe you $7. So it's a negative 7. The other way you could have also done this, remember, 13 negatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 negatives and 6 positives. A positive and a negative, as shown in this problem right here, cancel each other out. So this positive cancels this negative, 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 this positive cancels that negative, cancel, cancel. And I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 negatives, just in case. Okay, and I already noticed I made a typo here. So this should be x plus 6, so I'm going to make that a plus, equals negative 11. So to get rid of plus 6, the opposite or inverse operation is minus 6. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Bring down my x. Okay, this time I borrowed $11 from you, and rather than paying you back, I borrowed another 6. So I have 11 negatives, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11. Okay. And I borrowed another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all the same, so I'm going to combine them. They're not going to cancel. So when I add them all up, I get negative 17 because I combine because nothing canceled. This is just a fraction bar. Looks a little different, but this is x divided by 5, and the opposite of dividing by 5 is multiplying by 5. So I want 5 groups of negative 2. So 5 sets of negative 2 gives me 10 negatives. Or you can think of it this way. For 5 days in a row, I borrowed $2 from you, so now I owe you 10. I hope this helps. Good luck trying substitution and one-step equation.